How to write a research proposal. Today we'll see into the topic about how to proceed with the research proposal. Basically, the proposal is a detailed plan or blueprint for the intended study, and once it is completed, the research project should flow smoothly. A clean, well thought out proposal forms the backbone for the research itself and hence becomes the most important step in the process of conduct of research. Now, the objective of preparing a research proposal basically would be to obtain approvals from various committees, including ethics committee, research methodology section, and to request for research grants. Proposal needs to show how your work fits into what is already known about the topic and what new paradigm will it add to the literature, while specifying the question that the research will answer, establishing its significance and the implications of the answer. The proposal must be capable of convincing the evaluation committee about the credibility, achievability, practicality, and repeatability of the research design. Now, when you see uh, tips basically for preparation of a good research proposal include uh, usually they say you should be practical, be persuasive, make broader links, aim for crystal clarity, and plan before you write. In fact, a researcher must be balanced with a realistic understanding of what can be achieved. The contents or formats of a research proposal vary depending on the requirements of evaluation committee and are generally provided by the evaluation committee or the institution themselves. However, in general, a cover page of the proposal contains title of the proposal, name and affiliation of the researcher, that is principal investigator and co-investigators, and the third would be institutional affiliation. Details of contacts such as phone numbers, email IDs, and lines for signatures of investigators. And when we see what are the main contents of the proposal that may be presented, then those includes basically the very first one would be the introduction, secondly comes the review of literature, third one would be aims and objectives, fourth research design and methodology, fifth is ethical considerations, sixth is budget, seventh would be appendices, and lastly the eighth would be the citations. Now, what exactly the introduction should include in the research proposal? It is also sometimes termed as the introduction is termed as need for study or abstract. Now, introduction is an initial pitch of an idea. It sets the scene and puts the research in context. This is what it is about the introduction in the research proposal. Okay. And review of literature, it refers to all sources of scientific evidence pertaining to the topic in interest. Okay. And it is crucial to structure this section intelligently so that the reader can grasp the argument related to your study in relation to that of other researchers, while still demonstrating to your readers that your work is original and innovative. This is what is about the review of literature. Basically, there are 5 C's that can be kept in mind while writing a literature review. And what are those 5 C's? It includes the first one would be cite. Keep the primary focus on the literature pertinent to a research problem, that is citation. Then compare the various arguments, theories, methodologies, and findings expressed in the literature. What do the authors agree on? Who applies similar approaches to analyzing the research problem? Those kind of the questions can be addressed in compare. And contrast the various arguments, themes, methodologies, approaches, and controversies expressed in the literature. What are the major areas for disagreement, controversy, or debate that can be included in the review of literature? That's contrast. The fourth one would be critique the literature. Which arguments are more persuasive and why? Which approaches, findings, methodologies seem most reliable, valid, or appropriate, and why? Pay attention to the verbs for used to describe what an author say, does, asserts, demonstrates, etc. That's the critique the literature. Lastly would be the connect the literature to your own area of research and investigation. How does your own work draw upon, depart from, or synthesize what has been said in the literature? So there are 5 C's: cite, compare, contrast, critique the literature, and connect would be the 5 C's while writing a literature review. Then comes the aims and objective. The research purpose gives a broad indication of what the researcher wishes to achieve in the research. The hypothesis to be tested can be the aim of the study. The objectives related to parameters or tools used to achieve the aim are generally categorized as primary and secondary objectives. So we'll find that there will be usually primary and secondary objectives kept into the section of the aims and objectives. So aims goes for hypothesis, and objectives you need to be general and specific about those as the primary and secondary objectives. Then comes the research design and method. The objective here is to convince the reader that the overall research design and methods of analysis will correctly address the research problem, and to impress upon the reader that the methodology sources chosen are appropriate for the specific topic. It should be unmistakably tied to the specific aims of your study. So objective refer is to the research design and method has the objective is to convince the reader that the overall research design and methods of analysis will correctly address the research problem. Okay. So in this section, the methods and sources used to conduct the research must be discussed, including specific references to different sites, databases, key contexts, or authors that will be indispensable to the project. And then comes the components of this section, that is the research design and method would be varied. That can be like, say for example, those topics could be population and sample, data collection topic, rigor, soundness of the research, neutrality, consistency, applicability, data analysis. These are the different subtopics within those